Hi everyone! In this video we're going to be covering how to make some basic pudding and some general guidelines for how to cook dairy and things that you want to watch out for when you're cooking dairy-based foods. So we're going to be covering a vanilla pudding that you cook on the stovetop and a chocolate pudding that you cook in the microwave. The first recipe that we're going to show you is a vanilla pudding that you cook on the stovetop. And this is something that a lot of people have trouble with, but we're going to give you some guidelines that are going to help you out along the way. So these are general guidelines that are going to help you with any dairy recipe. The first thing is you want to use low to medium heat. Never go above medium or you risk burning it. You want to whisk or stir constantly to keep the bottom from burning. Any acidic ingredients are going to cause things to curdle, so avoid those if you can. You want to store it with plastic wrap pressed directly on the surface to prevent a scum from forming. And you don't want to boil milk because it boils over very easily. Milk has a lot of protein in it and it also has a lot of sugar, and both of those things are going to cause it to burn very easily, and when it does burn or boil over, the mess that you're going to have to clean up is going to be very, very difficult to come up. So the ingredients for this recipe are going to be 2 cups of milk, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 teaspoons of a good quality vanilla, and 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This pudding is going to be thickened with both cornstarch and eggs. So the starch in the cornstarch is going to thicken it, and the eggs are going to solidify and help thicken it as well. To start, you're going to want to put all of the cornstarch and about 1/4 of the cup of sugar into a bowl and mix it very, very well. So by putting the sugar and the cornstarch together, that sugar is going to get in between your starch granules and it's going to prevent clumps from happening in your final recipe. This is an insurance policy to keep that from happening. Then you're going to add in your egg yolks into the sugar and starch mixture, and that's going to make a little bit of a paste. Then you're going to thin that out with about 1/4 of your cup of the milk. You're going to mix this well with a small whisk or a fork until there's no clumps in that mixture. Any of the clumps that are in this mixture may end up creating clumps in your final product. And then you're going to set that aside until the remainder of your milk and sugar mixture is warm. So pour the remaining part of your milk and sugar into a small saucepan. You're going to heat this up until it's barely steaming over medium heat. You never want to use high heat with anything milk related because it will stick to the bottom of your pan. And I know from experience that it's going to be almost impossible to clean. You also want to stir this continuously to prevent burning and sticking as well. Once your milk gets to about 140 degrees or it's starting to steam, you're going to place your bowl with the egg mixture on a damp cloth to prevent it from sliding around. Stir it one last time because the starch will have settled a little bit, and then you're going to grab a ladle and pour a little bit of your milk mixture into your eggs. This process is called tempering, and it's going to keep the egg mixture from scrambling. Then you're going to pour your egg mixture slowly into your pan, whisking constantly. And keep on whisking, making sure to work out any of the clumps that might have happened. After this part, this is where the patience kicks in. You're going to need to stir continuously until it gets thick. You're going to know it's thick enough when you stop seeing small bubbles forming. And you're also going to feel your whisk meet a little bit of resistance. This took about 7 minutes of constant stirring, so you're going to need to be prepared. And you're going to be tempted to turn your heat up as well because it's going to seem like nothing is happening. but you don't want to turn your heat up because milk products burn very, very easily due to the amount of protein and sugar in the milk. So once it gets thick, you're going to pull it off of the stove, add in your unsalted butter and your vanilla, and stir it in until your butter is melted and your vanilla is incorporated. You're going to pour it into a sealable container and press your plastic wrap directly on top of the pudding, and this is going to prevent a skin from forming, and you're going to place it in the refrigerator to chill for at least 2 hours before you enjoy it. So if you want to make homemade pudding but aren't quite ready to tackle making it on the stovetop, you can make it in the microwave very easily. So this is a chocolate pudding recipe, and your ingredients are going to be cornstarch, sugar, cocoa powder, milk, and vanilla. Your first step is going to be to put your cornstarch, sugar, and cocoa powder into a microwave-safe bowl and mix it thoroughly. Just like in your first recipe, it's going to be really important to mix together your cornstarch and sugar very well. The sugar is going to get in between those starch granules to prevent lumps in that final process. Also be careful if you have a square container to get into all of those corners so that everything is well incorporated. You don't want to have any clumps in there. Then you're going to whisk in the milk a little bit at a time. This is going to prevent lumps as well. Generally, this is going to start out looking like a paste and then slowly get thinner. And doing it in that process is going to make it a lot simpler to not get clumps in the final product. And once you finish with this process, it's going to look a lot like chocolate milk. If you're using a square container, after you've finished mixing everything, go around the corners with a rubber spatula one last time just to make sure that you're getting all of the paste out of the corners. This is going to make sure that you have a more consistent final product. After that, you're going to microwave this on high for 3 minutes and then take it out to stir it, making sure you get into those corners to work out any of the thickened product. Then back in the microwave for 1 minute, and you're going to stir again after that 1 minute. Each time you put it back into the microwave, it's going to be a little bit thicker. You're going to continue this microwave for 1 minute and stir process until it's thickened. We only had to put it in for 2 1-minute rounds, but it just kind of depends on how much your microwave heats things up. You'll know it's thick enough when it clings to a spoon. It's going to thicken some once it's cold, so don't thicken it too much or your pudding is going to be too thick to enjoy. Once it's all finished, you're going to put it into a sealable container. Stir your vanilla in. You always add vanilla in after you've taken it off the heat so that the alcohol in the vanilla doesn't evaporate. It makes sure that the flavor remains in the recipe. You're going to press plastic wrap directly over the surface to prevent that scum from forming. And then you're going to cover it and put it into the refrigerator. Thank you for joining us on Mixing with Merks. I hope both of these are methods that you can use in the future, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.